What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of We Everywhere, baby. I am your host, Omar, and with me, as always, the co-host with the what?
As always, every day of my life, I see her. She's always there.
She's always there. Every time I turn around, there she is.
I'm here. Your favorite Nadia.
Of all the Nadias you know, she's the favorite.
You know? It's the name you know, but you don't really know, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
What?
I feel like Nadia is a unique name, but a common name at the same time.
That
feel
makes
me on that?
that makes no sense. It's just like
That's what I'm saying. It's a conundrum. That's what I'm trying to get at.
all right.
It makes no sense. I'm a magical mystery. What's up, guys?
Nadia and OMar, everybody.
Hey. Quiet down the applause.
Oh my God.
Where do we even begin?
You know what? Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Right? Finding us on your radio.
On your radio? Did you turn the dial?
Turn the dial. Find us
And
on
you
your radio.
find us? In between the mariachis and the static, we're baby.
We have some stuff to talk about, but I wanted to bring something up that refers to the last show.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys remember, last week we talked about the Conjuring marathon that we had gone on. You know, we sat down and watched all 3 of the Conjuring movies. None of the offshoot movies and all that, but
Which we've seen, we just didn't add them
right.
to the cycle,
But
which
we
will. We will.
yeah. So, so we got a message from one of our listeners who she actually sends us messages a lot. So she's real cool. I'm not gonna put her whole name out just because I don't want to put her like family on blast. But what's up, Liz? This is
I feel you.
So let me read to you what she wrote. She said, after listening to today's podcast, I have to show you guys a picture. You guys talked about believing in ghosts or being possessed. I don't know if I believe it. One, because I feel like the more I say I do, I experience more things, which I kind of agree with.
Yeah, you're more open.
People who are like, yeah, there's a ghost there. All of a sudden there will be something that makes you feel like a ghost.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like a ghost. Like I feel like a ghost.
I feel like a ghost now. I'm a ghost. What movie is that?
What? I don't remember.
I'm a ghost.
What was that from?
How high?
Oh, damn.
Sorry, go on.
But anyway, actually, she says, anyways, this is a picture of my first uncle that passed away. 15 years later, my other uncle was in a car accident and also passed away. And when that happened, the first uncle who's passed away, whose picture they have, started to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And she's like, I don't know if I want to believe it or not, but here's like the watermarks or tear marks left behind on the picture. And she did send us a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it's like a portrait, right?
Right. It's painted portrait.
Yeah. And there are, would you call these tear marks?
Well, can I see it?
Yeah, I'm zooming it in for you. Like, I mean, it's kind of creepy.
That one under the eye is kind of questionable because of the placement.
Right?
But
there you go, Nadia. Ghosts.
He looks like he's sweating.
Maybe he's sweating.
Maybe he was sweating.
He's like, oh, I owe my brother $15.
He's gonna come.
He's about to come collect.
I hate you so much. The disrespect.
No,
you can't even respect people's.
That was
No, come on. We're not
gonna keep it going. No, saying. But I just want to point that out that I thought that's like.
I mean, that's a trip. That is a trip, and it's hard because I go back and forth with believing it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I think that all of this is, I don't know if to some people that's proof, And to other people, there could be a logical explanation for it. And they're like, oh, well, somebody was cleaning a wall and sprayed it.
Well, yeah, like there's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Right, love.
where Larry David, he ends up basically, well, I don't want to give it away, but he wets a Jesus portrait, and they believe that it's Jesus crying.
Right, exactly.
It becomes a whole thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's an explanation to it, or do you know what I mean? Because it can't be disproven. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's where I live.
That's family right there. So you know what I mean?
That's where I live. I'm like, well, we can't prove that it's not real. So who's to say it's not? We don't know.
Absolutely. But again, for real, I know we're making jokes, but with all due respect, Liz, to Liz's family, thank you for sharing that.
R.I.P. Rest in peace to your family.
And
sorry, we're so we just make jokes at all. See, this is the problem. I'm like that meme. Have you seen that meme? One thing about me is I'm gonna make a jokey joke.
Yeah.
In any situation. I was literally just talking to Sandy about that when we went camping, and we'll get to that. The reason why Omar and I sound like we got these hoarse voices. I know I do. I literally feel like I have like buckets of sand chilling in my that shit was so windy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we were talking about that I'm one of those people that have a hard time not making a joke if it's there. If the joke is there to grab, if it's fully presented, and just it's so hard for me to not go there, because that's how I deal with shit. Like I look at things and I look at life as like, okay, this is really shitty. I'm in a shitty place, or this person's in a shitty place, or this situation is shitty. And if there's an opportunity to laugh at any part of it, I'm going to take that opportunity, because that shit makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm of the same.
It lightens the load for me a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like that too.
Like, I know you are.
At both my grandparents' funeral, like I was
See,
outside making
this
jokes.
guy.
You know what I mean? It's
your timing's worse than mine.
I have zero time.
No timing.
Like mine. I go for it immediately. And it's tough. It's tough because if the joke is good enough, you'll get like a laugh, but kind of like, come on. But if it doesn't land,
right, you're
just like the biggest asshole
exactly
on the planet. So that's the risk I like to take with my life.
That's only a part of it, though, because even this guy, even if the joke does land, there's still going to be a handful of people that find it distasteful, and that's their prerogative to think that way.
Absolutely, and
you know what I mean. And they should, because it is completely distasteful. It's actually terrible. And we're sick and twisted individuals.
But
but yeah, it's just interesting because I was just having that conversation, and it keeps becoming a reoccurring theme. I recently offended somebody. It was a too soon moment, and they were like, yo, I wish you didn't say that. And I was like, you know what? You are so right. Shouldn't have said that. My bad. This is how I deal with shitty situations. Not an excuse. Sorry.
But the worst part is that there's always that part of you that's like, but it's just a fucking joke.
You know what it is.
Like, you know what come on, man. Like, you haven't known me all my life. Like,
right. There is that part.
But yeah, no, though it's a tough line to walk.
Yeah, it's a tightrope that we like to walk often.
And like we said, it's not necessarily because it's like, oh, here's a good time to really, fuck up the moment or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just
no, it's not about that.
It's just like you said, she gets a little uncomfortable, and you're like, man, I think this is everybody should just laugh and stuff. Yeah.
It's like Dolly Parton's character says, Truvy in Steel Magnolias. Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion.
And of course, we follow all of Dolly's teachings.
That's one of my favorites.
So
it really is. It's the best. That's the best emotion.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm going to do a great little transition. So, speaking of laughter through tears, every time the few things, right? We went camping.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. While we went camping, we dabbled in some shrooms. Damn near every time I do shrooms, I laugh through my tears.
But I don't think
terrible transition.
But when you that wasn't what you thought it was going to be.
It was mapped out so nice in my mind, and then as I started, I knew it wasn't right, and I was like, I'm just going to keep going because
you're like, check this out.
I was trying to navigate it so hard.
Speaking of whatever that is, I'm going to blow your mind with whatever this is. And then you're
whatever. Okay, clean me up, man.
So good. I think that when you say I laughed through my tears, it sounds like you're like sad and crying, but trying to laugh through it. I think we've mentioned it before, particularly when there's mushrooms, but you can get to the point where you're laughing
and crying
so much that you just can't stop. Your eyes just start crying.
Pour
buckets.
Crying.
Yeah, so that's that's a very it's a very interesting fact about you.
It is. That's a fact. And I can't stop. Once I get on the train, it's so hard to get off. Like it takes a while. It's not an instant thing that I can just turn off. It's like I got to ease my way out.
The first time that it happened, I remember being like worried.
Was that in Joshua Tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've since learned. And were you going to say something?
It's just a great feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it kind of sucks a little because I can't stop crying, but I find it to be very cleansing, to be honest. It's like I'm so happy, but then it almost feels like I think that I used to cry a lot as a kid and growing up, and I used to be made fun of it for like a lot. My whole family, oh, she's crying again, and blah blah blah, and like actually kids, no, truly, little kids. Well, it all began.
Oh my goodness!
When I was like probably like 3 or 4.
No,
And we lived in Long Beach, and the neighbor kids, I don't know why, I would cry really easily. So I don't know what made me cry or what they did to make me cry. But the minute I started crying, they would start chanting, "Baby, baby, suck your thumb. Don't forget your bubble gum." And then they would chase me, and I would cry even more, and I would run all the way home. They would chase me singing that. Isn't that mean? I was a baby.
I was a baby.
I was a baby. This really happened. Okay. So then.
It's just funny because the fact that you're like, I ran away.
Right.
Like all this is, I understand that. Like bullies are making fun of you running away. But then you're like, I'm a baby. So I'm just picturing this.
Well,
like
not a baby.
I know. But in my head, it was just like this baby. Like, like just bow-legged running.
Like a toddler? No, I wasn't that little.
Anyway, no, but I understand. You're a kid.
Yeah. So they started taunting me about that. And then growing up, like, I just always cry. I could cry at the drop of a hat. It was just constantly crying. So I'm like, oh, there she goes crying again, whatever, blah, blah, blah. My sister would poke fun. Oh, you're just going to cry again? It was just always a thing. So then I feel like as an adult, it's like, I don't know if it's a subconscious thing that I like try not to cry anymore, or that I'm even aware that because I feel like I don't cry that much anymore, which is a good thing. Relatively, right?
Well, I mean, you don't want to be like a sopping mess all the time, but it's like,
but even in situations that deeply affect me, it's like it takes me a long time to get to that point of crying.
Okay.
I've learned other ways of dealing with it. Comedy is one of them. So I'll crack the jokes instead of crying, and I never get to that crying place. So therefore, maybe when I do shrooms, I need to release all those tears that I have not cried. Boom, just gave myself therapy. You feel me though? You follow me? You follow me?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah, Omar's not about that stuff.
No, I mean, The thing is that when it comes to when
it comes to feelings and emotions, I hate them.
When it comes to all this feeling shit, I just don't have it. So I don't really understand you.
No, really.
No, what I was saying was, when you do cry outside of, this very specific,
right,
scenario, it's never very long.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is that you do, that makes you not that way.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen you like lay around and cry for like, for what I would consider to be an inordinate amount of time.
Right.
Like, you tear up at movies easily and stuff like that, like everybody else or whatever. But then again, I mean, and I don't know if I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I also don't feel like I really put you in positions where like I would make you cry.
Yeah, you don't.
Therefore, like the only time I really see you bawl is when you're having a ball. Like it's when you're having the best time of your life. It's really confusing.
She's crying now.
One day I'm going to come home and you're going to be crying your eyes out. And I'm like, whoa, what did I miss? Let me go ahead and start drinking. Or, you know what I mean? You're going to be like, no,
oh, we're partying?
My world is ending.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I don't know.
But if you want to know the last time that this happened to Nadia, it was this past weekend when we went camping.
It was,
like we had said.
It was light though. I didn't get too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. This was all a huge segue.
The biggest segue into
the
our
fact that
trip.
we went camping.
Yes.
So, our friend, Chef Nigel Henderson,
friend of the show, has been on our
he did
couch
our crawfish episode.
Mm-hmm.
He taught us how to eat crawfish and stuff like that. So
and Omar's co-host on the Gumbo Pop podcast.
Absolutely. He does a camping trip every year. It started off with a couple of friends, and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And he calls it Kampapalooza. I think he's even got an IG now for it. But essentially, he sets up an entire camping trip along with, the sites, sites meaning, the campsites. And then he feeds you the entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome because, you're having a chef who's cooking you outside of the normal camping food,
mm-hmm.
because it's just a little bit more upscale, a little
mm-hmm.
bit more delicious,
mm-hmm.
And we've been doing it. I've gone 3 times. This was Nadia's second year.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we went out to Sandy Flats Campground.
Mm-hmm. Near Kern River.
In Caliente, California.
And Lord, it was.
It was so hot, guys.
Hotter than balls. It was so hot. Man. And not only is it hot, it's really windy and dusty. Like, there's like a lot. Well, it's not dust, it's sand because you're near the river. So it's that sand sediment. And you get really good gusts of wind, which is actually very helpful because the last time I went, since this is my second time, we did go to the same campground. It wasn't as hot when we went.
Correct.
So this time around, I think because we went in August, it was just blazing. Mm-hmm. So that wind, they are known to it gets windy at that campground. That wind was like our relief from the heat, at least, because you would get those cool gusts. But of course, it would blow the dust.
Yeah.
And like my throat is just trashed. Plus, for some reason, I scream a lot when I'm partying.
Well, you're trying to talk over the music.
Yeah.
Or,
I laugh loud.
Everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's a good group. Every time we've gone, there's never been any issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was it's a decent group of people having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you don't really have to worry about the food. When do we start cooking? When do we this? When do we that? So you tend to just like maybe drink a little bit more, smoke a little bit more, whatever. Hang out in the river longer than you normally would.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you don't have to go start dinner. But I will say that because we did go to the same campground, we did notice, unfortunately, that this drought or,
man,
or whatever, because I heard there's a combination. Okay?
Okay.
But the river that runs in our campground, when we went, I guess last year. No, a year and a half ago.
About a year and a
'cause we
half
went in
ago.
2019. It was decently running. Like the current was strong. There was a lot of water. It was right up to the campground. This year we went and we could walk across the entire river basically. So that was really sad. You know what I mean? But we still had some water, so we still had some, had a good time.
Yeah, we went rafting.
But again, shout out to Nigel and the Kampapalooza situation, because it's always a good time, and having a chef there is just like
Man, it is very nice, let me tell you.
But should we start just kind of the whole camping story from the preparation of it all? Because Nadia and I have a different way of preparing for a camping trip.
Oh my God. This guy. Well, according to the Alsa Bar handbook on how to live, if you are camping, you should be extremely uncomfortable and have bare minimal essentials. That's the only way to camp. And if you're not doing it that way, you're not camping.
This weekend, Nadia said to me, I think your family thinks camping means being uncomfortable.
Because we went. So before we left, we went to your parents' house to go get, we borrowed their tent.
Right. We took both of the tents.
We took both of their tents, one for Mark, one for us. And, we were just kicking it with your parents, hanging out before we leave. And your mom's like, are you guys taking pillows? And we're like, yeah. Oh, yeah. How many? One each? Is that the right answer? Like, I was nervous to say.
So it was, for context, it was like my parents were, it's kind of a thing we do in the family where we just kind of talk shit to each other, whatever. So my dad, because Nadia's makeup is always on point, even if it's not, for going out.
That's not true.
I'm going to tell you this. You don't go over there without
makeup.
Yes, I do,
very,
baby. Very rarely. Very rarely. But my dad has, fine. If we want to sit here and have an argument about that, we could do that. But otherwise, you could just let me keep finishing this nonsense.
Yes, go.
My dad has told me that you always look good. And he said, that must take her forever. She must really care.
She must be so ugly.
She must be, no. That's hilarious. Because I saw her once without makeup, man. And fuck me, he said. He was like, that's got to take her hours.
Take her forever.
Because he doesn't understand makeup, he thinks, it's a super long process.
Yeah.
And that, that means that you must be super into makeup and you're a makeup artist.
Yeah.
So when
all are not lies.
When we're talking about going camping, he's like, oh, are you going to take your makeup?
He goes, oh, you're going to take your makeup and all of that? And your hair straightener or something like that? The hair dryer? I was like, what? No.
And then he sits there laughing at himself.
Yeah, he laughed at himself right after he said it.
That's how when you're like, what does your dad think? I was like, listen, look, he can't even say it without laughing. And then my mom goes, that's my mom tagged it. He's like, oh, she goes, oh, I bet you're going to take pillows too.
Yeah. We're like, what?
I was like, Mom, please. My mom was the one that was always trying to put us in a cabin. Because one of the campgrounds we used to go to, she used to always try to put us in a cabin. So my dad is the one he
likes to be rugged.
Who's the rough and tough camper. So that's where they were making fun of us.
Yeah, but your mom wasn't down for the air mattress or a pillow either. That's what she was saying.
Of course, that's what she was saying. But she's a liar. She's lying.
You're gonna get in trouble.
If we didn't have it, it's again because my dad was very much like, nah, we don't need that.
Right. So she had no choice.
She was like, fine.
Oh man. But yeah, it's funny. And then meanwhile, I grew up like, the thing is that we grew up camping. Like, we camped a lot. Mostly we went to Yosemite. But we've had different experiences as opposed to, like, we've done the cabin thing. We've done an RV. We've done regular tenting. We even did the tents in Curry Village in Yosemite where they're like, it's a hard platform, but at the top is a tent. That to me is not as fun, only for the reason that, like, you are so backed up to everybody. You're so close to all the tents, and there's no communal space. You can't have a fire pit or sit outside and have, eat and hang out, whatever. It's like, that's where you go to sleep. That's it.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
It's like camping to me, it's like camping or RV. Those are the options.
Right. But this time we decided to do the tent thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, if I'm going camping, I don't want to get an RV. That's called like RVing.
No, it's called glamping.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to glamp. I want to camp. So I don't mind it. Like, I was like, I sleep on the floor, just in a sleeping bag. It's no big deal. Like, whatever.
Yeah. He doesn't even want to have an air mattress.
So we're like, let's just get my parents' tents. My parents haven't gone camping in years. Let's just go, whatever. And then you're like, we should check them. And I was like, check them.
This guy. Yeah, check them.
And then the funny thing is that we had 2 tents because my brother was going. So I told Mark, I'm like, you check the tents or whatever. And then we just kind of kept pushing it off. So, well, yeah.
Uh-huh. Your one job, right? We.
My one job.
Listen, I gathered a lot of shit. We'll get into that later.
I mean, this is all the preparation talk.
So, did we check them?
Well, no, we didn't check the tents. So we're like, whatever. And we're driving up there and we're like, man, we didn't check these tents. And what happens if there's something missing? And I basically
exactly
was like,
why I
whatever,
suggested we check the tents.
So we get there, we open the tents. Our tent is complete, but it's missing the stakes. So we can't essentially secure it to the ground. And
as I mentioned before, this is a windy campground.
But it's also a campground that has a ton of rocks.
Yeah, true.
And not, so like we get a rock for every corner and we'll be fine. Like, it's not a big deal. My brother's tent, on the other hand, every single rod was broken.
There was no rope.
Yeah, they have a string or a rope, like an elastic rope that basically
was gone.
Makes them snap into place, and it was gone. So he basically just had a tarp.
But somebody luckily had extra
and he
poles.
was like, dude, we got to go to the store.
Yeah.
I got to buy a tent.
Yep.
But yeah, no, actually they gave him an entire tent. It's just like, I happen to have an extra tent.
Oh, that wasn't even his. Mm-hmm. Got it. Well, he got lucky with that because he didn't even have the raft either. And then we went and got a raft at like Big 5 or something. And it was like a pool one, like popped. It was like all messed up and deflating in the water. He was like pouring out water out of his canoe, his blow up canoe. That's how the Elsa Bros do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, do you want to talk about the river then?
Okay.
I mean, you're the one that went into the boat and all that. I was like, we could talk about that if you want.
Sure.
So we all link up, and we all bring our river tubes, and we had all learned from previous times we've gone there that, like it or not, you have to buy one.
The river
that
one.
is, a river inner tube or whatever, the river runner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They got a harder, they're made out of like
thicker
plastic, so all the rocks won't hurt it. And like you said, Mark just is like, no, I want a boat. So instead of getting an inner tube, he buys basically a little boat that should come with oars. But he's like, nah, man, that one's like I don't know, it's like 20 extra bucks. It was like a big enough price difference that I didn't feel comfortable giving him shit about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're just like, dude, it's $5, get the neck.
Yeah.
No, it was like, I feel you.
$20.
And he's like, I'm not. It was something like that. It was like a price difference that I was like, I'm with you, bro.
It's noticeable.
Fuck the oars. So he buys it. He's got no oars. And we all go and we all start tying up. And again, because the river's so low, the rapids part of the river, you could basically, hit a rock or two. And he hit that rock, but it only
shredded.
Popped, it shredded. It put a slice in the middle part. So the outer tube wasn't
fine.
It wasn't deflating.
Yeah.
So he didn't know there was a real issue. And he just thought that from those tiny rapids that we hit, that he had gotten water in his boat, and he just kept emptying water out of this thing. And how long would you say it took us to get from from beginning to where the rope was?
You think like 5 minutes? I feel like it was quick.
5 to 7 minutes, I think, max.
Yeah.
Right. And in that he spent 5 to 7 minutes and he was dunking his beer cans in there. And like pouring them out and stuff like that, like trying to capsize it.
He was capsizing.
No, trying to keep it from capsizing.
Yeah,
Sorry, you're right.
He was trying to capsize.
So he was like, "Man, I think there is a problem with my boat." I was like, "Yeah, man, you taking on water." So he gets out, and everybody's like, "You know what? We're gonna run the rapids again." So he's like, "I'm gonna do it again." So he runs out, and on the way back, the whole thing gave out.
Yeah,
because by the time he made it to where we were, he was wearing the boat as like a life jacket. Like, it was done.
Yeah. So, suggestion to you guys: if you're going to a river type situation, don't bring your pool floaties. They never work. Omar and I did that the first time, and that didn't end.
Yeah, we didn't know. I didn't even know what we were doing like the first time. I was like, sure, I'll bring some pool floaties.
Yeah, I had to go with you because also I feel like every campsite's kind of different as far as where you go camping and the elements around you and what you need for those elements. So I had gone already, so I kind of knew all the shit we were going to need, so that helped out. And then we just loaded Amazon up and got what we needed. So, but yeah, it was a good time. What else did we do? Excellent food from Nigel. We didn't really get to play any games because it was so windy that
anything we wanted to lay out, like if even playing cards or something was just not going to happen.
At nighttime it died down.
Yeah,
at first I remember you said you saw those people playing till like 5 in the morning.
They were in a whole nother section of the campground. You know what I mean? I think that the sites where we are
gets the most wind.
Getting a lot more wind than the other ones, at least when we were walking around. You know what I mean? Especially because the communal area ended up being
our old camp spot
right there. Yeah, exactly.
Where we almost lost our tent.
Yeah.
Listen to last year's camping episode. Don't we talk about it on the podcast?
No.
I swear at some point we shared the story. Or did I say it on Ladies Like Us?
You might have said it on Ladies Like Us.
Maybe that's what it was. Dang. Go back to Ladies Like Us, guys.
Yeah. But there was a night where we did, you do the glow stick thing.
Saturday night with a glow stick party.
And you're out there just having, a blast.
We did shrooms.
But that was exactly, so that was the night that we got into that. And surprisingly, more people than I remember brought, mushrooms to the party.
It's because mushrooms are trending right now. People are into them.
I mean, I'm going to say this much. I like them. And when we do them, we don't normally do enough or, whatever the necessary need for it to be like, whoa, I'm traveling through space. We always do it enough so that we're laughing, but, but it's never...
We play it safe because we're not sure how much yet.
Yeah.
So... I think that you and I have kind of reached that place where we could probably step it up a little more because we've done it enough times to know, okay, this amount makes us like this.
Yeah.
And especially with you and your tolerance, you kind of want to experience a little more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember in high school, I did them like once or twice, and that was when you were eating a ton.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, no, just eat more, and then that's when like walls would breathe and stuff like that, and then people just stopped having them that I was around. Right? It went, not that it went underground. It just wasn't my scene anymore. And then now I was like, well, I just like to do it because it really does. I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then there's no, I was like, there's no after effects or no anything. They never make me dizzy. They never make me, it's always just like, you want to have a good time tonight. And just, if you're lucky, the lights will have a little bit of a extra glare. And during the day, everything just is a little bit prettier. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, is that I was trying to tell everyone that we need to do them before it gets too dark, because once it gets too dark, it's dark. You're not seeing much. And I think a lot of people do shrooms because they think it's a party drug and they want to do it at night and party, but it's like so much better to do it during the day. However, because it was so hot where we were, we were kind of like not really trying to do them in the middle of the day, in the middle of the heat. So we were trying to do it around like dusk, right? As it was starting to get cooler and darker. Mm-hmm. But we came out of that river too late, and then people went and changed and kind of like took naps and all that kind of stuff. So we didn't, the timing wasn't really right. It wasn't as prime to feel the prime effects of it all, because I feel like if people always ask, am I going to see weird shit? Am I going to see all these crazy things? Like, what am I going to see? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily work like that always. I've had many different experiences on them. Mm-hmm. I have had moments where I do see crazy things, and it's more of just like, it's not that my eyes are seeing that in front of me. It's my mind takes me there. I allow my imagination to go wherever it wants to go. Mm-hmm. And it's taken me to places, for example, one thing that I visioned that was just insane was that I was standing in front of this medieval castle and it was on fire. And I could feel, and it was more of a sensory experience.
I mean, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, it is extreme.
Because now you're saying you're not only not like feeling fire or feeling the heat, but you're also seeing a castle.
Well, yeah, it was like, when I closed my eyes. That's what I'm saying. It's all this is all.
That's okay. That's different. All right.
It's where my mind. But the connection of like making it feel real wasn't like I wasn't just seeing it. The fact that I could feel the heat and feel like this hot wind blowing on me because my brain took me there. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. So I've had that. That was my most extreme. That shit was crazy. Yeah. I haven't read anything as extreme since then. There was another time that Nas and Miguel have this printed wallpaper on their wall of famous people's faces. So they have like Jimi Hendrix and Marilyn Monroe and Einstein and Salvador Dali. And they're just lined up like a grid. And I remember one time, I think Erin was there and I think she saw it as well. Cause also that's another thing. I feel like once somebody says, hey, can you see that? Your brain wants to kind of see it already. And it's just that somebody hasn't planted that seed of like, holy shit, look at this. Mm-hmm. So I was like, it looks like the green, how do I explain it? Like just the way that money looks, the green fine lines, that kind of look. Right. The whole wall looked like money print. Yeah. And I could see like green lines on the wall. So it's just kind of crazy what your brain conjures up or manipulates on the wall to kind of take a different shape or whatever, if you will. So another time was when we went to our anniversary in Big Bear. I'm sorry, not anniversary, proposal in Big Bear in the log cabin, right? And Alan and I were looking at the logs on the wall, and the wood grain was just pulsating and moving and it just was crazy. So that's just a part of it that you may experience. It's not every time. Not everybody always sees that. But you really do have to hone in and focus on something. I really think that that's a part of it. That it's not just going to automatically pop out to you kind of a thing.
Right. I mean, I think that to the point of something you said earlier is I think a lot of people, especially like, because we had some newbies and stuff like that. And when they're doing it, some people will like try to not force it, but just be like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling?
Yeah,
like,
you're looking too hard.
You, like analyze it, and
right?
How does my body feel? And I feel like you can just kind of talk yourself out of really experiencing anything because you're focusing on what it is that you could be seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like you said, taking them at night as a party drug, if you're not going to be at like a kick-ass concert or something where there's something really visually stimulating, taking it at night, maybe if you're just going to lay back and see the stars, that could have helped out a bit. But I feel like when you're camping, taking them, like you said, when there's still a nice sunlight, you can see all the trees and stuff like that. That's really kind of the best.
I agree.
So I feel like when we do party at night, that's when you and I, when we were like, okay, well, there's no reason to try to induce some kind of visual if I'm not going to sit still and close my eyes. Or so that's when we started splitting them, and we were just like,
really
what, we kind of just enjoy that we split what our normal dose would be, and then we just kind of laugh, and like you said, you're like, at least this way I cry, but it doesn't overtake.
I felt really happy. It's just, for me, I feel really euphoric. It's just a state of euphoria and a release that it gives me, that I feel oddly more clear-minded and clear-headed, and I feel more connected to my surroundings. I feel more connected to people, and I feel just more present in the moment. And I think that that's why people like to do them in nature, is because you feel connected to your environment. You notice that the trees are breathing, that you're just around everything that is alive and living. And it's a really cool experience. And so that's, Joshua Tree is a great place to do them. Just get outside and do them. That's the best. You and I've had good experiences inside too. But again, it's because we were watching something cool and we set the whole mood of the room, and we were together and enjoying each other's company. So that's just our take. But what's cool is that I don't know if we're done talking about camping yet.
No, I mean, you're not. We feel free to transition.
Well, just because we're on the subject of mushrooms, Omar and I did end up watching fantastic Fungi or Fungi. I'm not really sure.
I like to say fungi.
That's how I say it.
And actually, shout outs to Taylor Kavanagh.
Yeah.
She's the one that told us to make sure we watch that.
She did throw us that suggestion.
We went ahead and threw that on. And if you guys haven't seen this documentary on Netflix, you should find it, because it's really dope.
It really is, for many reasons. Moving art also. So is that a style?
No, moving art. Well, I don't know. It's not like I looked into it, but
right, from what you know,
there was a series or whatever, like a visual series called Moving Art that was on Netflix for a while.
I remember that.
We would fall asleep to it for a bit. And it was just like really cool visuals of nature stuff,
really close-up shots.
Yeah, just a bunch of really dope cinematography.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
did they do a lot of slow-mos too?
Yeah. Yeah, just everything.
Or not slow mo.
There's everything.
They
was
do
in
slow mo. Yeah,
they do it all because it's the same.
I was thinking time lapse.
Yeah, they do like all the tricks, all of them. And what they did was I either paired up with the documentary maker or whatever of this fungus among us documentary, and it's really good. So visually, it's totally worth it, but also the facts that they're giving you, for somebody who's, like I said, has been slowly really kind of just accepting mushrooms into my life, like as far as the psychedelic side or whatever. I was really like just interested in all the other uses and medicinal properties. You read about that all the time, but there was a lot of stuff in this documentary that really
facts that we didn't know.
Is very much worth listening to.
Like,
well,
can you give us one?
They were saying that the fungus that you'll find the most throughout the world was a mycelium, and that it's all it grows underground, and it's essentially like a network.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and it essentially shares information via electronic pulse or electric pulse,
Almost like nerve endings.
Like nerve endings, like neurons. And this network, it's vast and it grows completely underground.
It's literally under all the plants, all the trees, like everywhere. What did they say? You could walk for 30 feet. I don't remember. There was some crazy fact. I'm not even going to butcher that one. Never mind. Abort. There's some crazy facts about the mycelium.
But they're saying that it allows, like plant life to talk to each other through this network.
Yes.
Which they also said that they found out by studying this mycelium that plants now recognize their kin.
Mm-hmm. That's the part that tripped me out majorly. Yeah, that these plant, like a tree could, reproduce more trees and then know which ones were the ones that they recreated. And they could feel through that mycelium network underneath, they could feel when that one was in danger, i.e. like, let's say it's getting a virus or pesticide, are attacking it. And they had ways of like helping them out and sending them. I don't know how it worked.
No, well, what they were saying was that they would like, again, now we're butchering it, right? Because we were so like, whoa, look how cool this is.
Right.
A lot of this stuff was going over our heads.
I need to watch it all over again. There's a lot of information.
For sure they were saying that through this network, because they can, feel each other, talk to each other, however you want to look at it, that they can tell when there's predators or something that's just endangering their survival.
Right.
So they will push like the growth of their new plants further away.
There you go.
So it like helps them to be like, okay, we're not going to grow here anymore.
Right.
And they end up growing further away where they're like free of that stuff.
Wow.
But they were also calling it the digestive tract of the forest.
Yep.
Because that's
exactly what it does. Yeah.
It just eats everything.
But also too, remember they were saying that the way that the mushrooms are constructed, the network that is inside of them as well is very similar to like what we have inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just all kind of makes sense as to why these little mushrooms are so magical and give us so many benefits. It's just, they're the one thing that has survived since the beginning of time. Like they were showing that they lived through the ice age.
Yeah.
And survived all of that. So they're just wild.
And it's important to know that the documentary is not a documentary about drugs. Like it's not there are those documentaries about, specifically psilocybin and hey, let's go trip. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this one is giving you just a lot of information just on the fact that we should have been studying, this a lot sooner. And they're everywhere. You know what I mean? Fungus is everywhere. What were they calling? They were calling some that were called saprobes or rotters. And that those are the ones that you make cheese with or you make beer with or like anything from fermentation or anything. So that we're already using it. Do you know what I mean? But there's so many other things they can do. They didn't. Okay, this is a really good part of the document. For me, I thought this was amazing.
I know what part
they did an experiment with like for oil spills. Okay, so they had essentially like they did 3 oil spills and treated them separately. One with like chemicals, one with some other kind.
They did one with enzymes.
Enzymes.
One was a control, like nothing.
Right, exactly. And it was control enzymes, and then they treated other ones with
spores.
And long story short, not only did the spores, soak up all of the oil, like the mushrooms that came from the spores, they absorb the oil. And we're talking diesel fuel, like petroleum, petrol, all that. And the fungus that grew even in that oil spill that they created sucked all that oil up. And not only that, but then produced mushrooms, which then produced or attracted insects, which then because of the insects it attracted birds,
Mm-hmm.
and next thing you know they had an oasis in this oil spill that
Yeah.
they had like
Its own little
created.
ecosystem that was created straight
it was
from the
amazing.
mushrooms. Yeah, it really was. That was one of the coolest things I think too, in that, and also too that what people have been showing is that they're learning how to take mushrooms and reconstruct them to create other things that are completely decomposable, so that once whatever product that we're making,
Yeah.
once it's done, instead of building more trash in this environment, which we have too much of and have a hard time breaking down, it essentially breaks down because it's made out of mushroom and it's decomposable. So it's just really, really cool. All the advancements they're making and just everything that we have to learn from them. Yeah, I just really recommend that you guys watch. And it's visually stunning also. Like,
Yeah,
we
like,
did get super high and watch it, and we were
there's-
just like, what? This shit looks amazing.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff in it that you're gonna find amazing. Like you said, the compostable like packaging and stuff like that. They were, God, I wish I remember the guy's name with the hat.
I know, and he's such an important figure in this world of mushrooms.
Nadia's gonna look up
I'm gonna look him up.
his name somehow, but he was basically saying that he is figuring out a way of doing what I like to call a fungus raid, which was kind of like pesticides, where the fungus is. Oh, okay, let's say termites. Termites, when they're wandering around, they can recognize a fungus, okay, and they avoid it. But if one of them doesn't, when they get back to the nest, the guards, if you will, that are at the front of the nest won't let that termite come in because it has that fungus, because they know that it's bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy figured out how to, grow a fungus that they are not afraid of or aware of. So they will take it in, nobody flags them, and before you know it, the whole colony is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And those spores will then keep the termites from coming back to that particular area. So he said he's tried it with a lot of other, pests. and
Paul
stuff like that.
Stamets.
Where?
Isn't it Paul?
There it is. That was his name, Paul Stamets. Yeah.
There you go.
Look him up. He's given some TED Talks on just fungus, and it's really cool.
Yeah, man. I already loved mushrooms, but now I'm just really even more fascinated with them, and I just kind of want to go. I don't know. I have a different approach to it now. This time around doing it, I didn't feel like I didn't have the party approach vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different connection that I just felt with it this time. And it felt really good, and I felt really open afterwards. And it was just the boost that I needed. Going camping, number one, being outside, being connected to nature, disconnecting from my phone completely.
Right.
For the whole weekend. Like, didn't even go on. And then doing mushrooms and feeling just really amazing and being connected to some really cool people and having really good conversations and just laughing, all of that was what I really needed. Cause man, after, we've shared with you guys, we've been in a funk. It's been a rough past 2 months. And so this was just a little boost that I needed to get out of that. So that's, thank you. Thank you, mushrooms. Thank you, Kampapalooza. Thank you, Mother Nature.
So yeah, this documentary gets our stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
For sure. Watch it. It's totally worth it. You'll see, just the things that they're doing, with fungus is insane. Down to like cancer treatments, down to obviously,
that's stuttering.
Psilocybin helps people with, what were they saying with, depression and such like that. There's just a lot of good stuff. There's people that are making. Okay, again, this is a spoiler, but this guy grew a mushroom that will break down cigarette filters.
Yeah.
That is dope.
Yeah.
Because if you can have it just that would eliminate an incredible amount of waste.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just the possibilities are endless. And it's really cool that we have something that we can cultivate and use to break down all the it's you know what it is? It's the silver lining in the bullshit of all of what's been happening to our planet, and seeing that, you know, this water crisis we're having and just everything that's happening. It's like, okay, mushrooms could help us out a little here. Like,
yeah, I mean, it
sounds like a long stretch, but you never know.
And there's so many of them. We can't recommend it enough. It was just really cool. We really loved it. It's like, I think we're talking
Let's watch
it up
it
too
again.
much, but maybe not, because it was really great.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, it's science. What's cooler than science? This shit is real. Like science, man.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't get to is that I watched the White Lotus. We can talk about that next week.
No, just talk about it now.
You want to talk about it?
Let's end on White Lotus.
Oh God, do we want to end there? It wasn't that great.
Oh, there's your review of White Lotus.
My throat is on fire.
Yeah, we want to say sorry for the fact that we've been sounding like complete ass this entire show.
I sound crazy. Sorry. I sound like a smoker. I sound like Marge Simpson.
That's your version. It's more like a Patty Selma thing.
Yeah, it's more like, what do I sound like right now? Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't figure it out.
You sound like Robin Williams' brother in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Are we giving it Barbara?
Yeah, that's it. God, what's that guy's name?
I love
Harvey
that.
Something. That's exactly what you sound like.
Totally nailed it. Okay, well, before my vocal cords completely disintegrate, I watched White Lotus. I watched it without Omar because he was just kind of like whatever. And I had been hearing, people here and there small talk. Oh, have you seen White Lotus? Have you seen White Lotus? And I was like, I keep hearing about this. Let me throw this on and see what it's about. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't know the premise. But okay. Where do I begin? For me, it just felt like it lacked a bit of substance, and it felt a bit anticlimactic for me. But it's weird for me to say that because I do enjoy some movies and series where it's just like a piece where you're watching people. Like, I don't
slice of life.
Exactly. Like, typically I do enjoy that. But for some reason, this one just, I don't know if it's because I wanted more from it than that.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of annoyed me more than anything. Like, I just like, come on, something happened. Let's go. Like, the beginning was very slow. And for me, the last 2 episodes were like what kind of saved it. I was like, okay, finally some action is happening.
Right.
And the last 2 episodes were, kind of picked it up, and then it was over. So yeah, it was just kind of boring. And it felt like in moments when something could have happened, they just played loud music.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a scene of nothing with long, loud music. And it was just like, what am I even watching? I will tell you what kept me going, and what I did enjoy about it was the fact that it was filmed and took place in Hawaii. And I love Hawaii. So looking at Hawaii and listening to Hawaiian music isn't the worst thing ever. So I was okay with that. But yeah, as a whole, it was like, meh. It was meh for me. It was, it was just a stuffy white family that didn't realize how privileged they were.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of themes of that, of privilege versus non-privilege. And Jennifer Coolidge is in it, which I normally love. She plays an alcoholic.
Jennifer Coolidge?
Yeah. Isn't that her name? Did I say that wrong?
I don't know. Are you talking about the
Stifler's mom? Isn't that her name?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, yeah.
This guy.
Well, I didn't watch it, but when you were talking about, like, I thought you were referring to the mother of the family.
No, that's Britton. I don't remember.
Connie
Britton, yeah.
But yeah, Jennifer Coolidge. I saw her when I was walking by and saw you.
and you knocked yourself out.
Oh, you think? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, I just hit my headphones with my phone.
It sounded loud.
I gotta stop talking with my hands.
Yeah, she's in it. She plays an alcoholic, and she's there to like distribute her mother's ashes. And I don't know. I don't know. I cannot tell you. Those are the only things that I can notice of what I guess I didn't really like about it, but it was just something that was just like, I guess that's all that there is that I didn't like about it. It just didn't, it's missing something for me majorly.
Well, they did do an interview. Like, again, I didn't watch it.
Right.
But they did do an interview with the creator. Mm-hmm. His name is Mike White. Mm-hmm. And I'll show you a picture of him.
Okay.
You recognize him?
Yeah.
Remember School of Rock?
Oh, okay.
He lived with, like, Jack Black lived with him, if I'm not mistaken. But there's like an article, interview with him. I mean, where it says Mike White accepts the criticism. The White Lotus creator understands if you feel conflicted about that ending, so does he. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of goes on. It's pretty long, so I don't. I can't really break it all down.
Interesting.
But it is funny because they did ask him. They said, you dangle the mystery of an identified dead body from the beginning.
Right.
And it clearly propels the series.
That's the only reason.
That's how it starts. There's a dead body and you don't know who it is, right? And
you're trying to figure out who is that dead body.
Okay. And here's the second part of the question. He goes, but it also seems as if you're making a bit of a joke of about how much audiences love a dead body that needs to be explained. So it's kind of like he's saying, okay, I know the question is like, that we love a dead body, but then you didn't give us anything about that
else.
body, which is what you're complaining about right now.
Yes. Like there was just so many, you were just watching people on vacation. You were watching a dysfunctional family on vacation. You were watching, that they had privilege and that they have this other girl. I can't remember her name, but now her character, Paula, is her character. And she looks like she's mixed. Like either she's like black and white or she's got like Pacific Islander. She's got something in her. And she's with her white friends her white friend and her white family. And so there's a bit of a culture clash there of them not knowing that they're offending her in certain moments. And there's a lot of themes of that in there as well. Yeah. And then I don't know. I'm trying not to give the show away too much.
Well, I mean,
but we always do that. We're like, are we going to
watch anyway?
but basically it's just that, right? You're just kind of watching these families and then you're watching Jennifer try to figure out at what point is she going to release her mom. And she's also admitting that she's an alcoholic. So it's just these things that these people are dealing with, but it's nothing. They don't really cross over too much to where you're like, okay, maybe this person killed this person, or did the wife kill herself? Or like, there's nothing. They give you nothing.
You're just, yeah. So,
just nothing but awkward silence and Hawaiian music. Oh my God.
Well, it's funny because his response, and of course, this is all
and an ass eating scene.
See? And you don't want people to see that? Here's the funny thing is that Nadia is telling you how much she doesn't like this show. Kind of like how I was with Manifest.
Exactly, but I didn't hate it. You didn't hate Manifest either.
I didn't hate Manifest. Yeah. It was kind of, we're complaining about the same thing. It's like, look, we want to know the answer to this one question you posed at the beginning, and you're not fucking giving it to me.
Right.
And this is just one season of like, how many episodes was it? 8?
6, I think.
6?
I think.
Like,
Manifest. They were long, though.
Manifest was a ton. And I went 3 seasons and they never told me anything. I can't believe you
did that.
But he kind of he basically says that, he just thought it was a good idea. He's like, I knew I wanted somebody to die. He goes, he literally says, I knew I wanted somebody to die anyway. So it was like, let's lead with that as a hook. And that's a perfectly good.
So he started this without even knowing where the story was going to go?
No, he knew that somebody was dying. Like there was a character that was going to die. So he's like, why don't I just put that at the beginning and lead with that?
Got it.
I mean, I'll read you the whole quote just so it doesn't sound, I guess it's weird, but he says, after he asked him about that, he says that, when he said that you're making a joke about people who really want to know about that, he says, I'm a type of creator who's had good critical responses sometimes, but I've struggled to get people to show up and watch. So he's like, yo, people have given me love, but I don't get the views, if you will. You know what I mean? So he just said, having a little hook, that's what made him laugh. He says he laughs and he says, having a little hook. I knew somebody was going to die. So why didn't I start that? And I will say, Mike White's I really like the guy. He's written on and has written completely a lot of stuff that you like, that you might not know. Like School of Rock, like I said, is one. He did Orange County. Remember the movie Orange County?
I like that movie.
Yeah, Pitch Perfect, Nacho Libre.
Love.
Like, yeah,
so Jack Black's his man.
Yeah, him and Jack Black, they're like, this, son.
But see, those movies, now that you say that, especially Orange County is like a slice of life piece. You're just kind of watching this family. And I can totally see him. I could see that he made this. I can see that now. So again, didn't hate it. It just felt a bit uneventful. And that I was like clinging on to the fact of who died, who did it, who was it, how did it happen? And that strung me along. I probably may have lost interest if it didn't have that.
So without giving spoilers, you find out who it is though at the end.
Yes, you do.
So there would be no second season?
I don't know because...
If there was a second season, would you watch it?
I'd have to see the trailer. Because they are saying that it could possibly be about another family.
Oh.
Or another set of people at the White Lotus.
At the hotel.
Yeah.
That's what the hotel is called, right?
They don't...
That what it is?
Yeah, the hotel is called the White Lotus. And during filming, they're in Hawaii. They never leave the resort. The whole thing is taking place at the White Lotus. Which I guess some families do go to Hawaii and never leave the resort.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost did that once. Like, I think we went to go see Pearl Harbor, but the rest of the stuff was just chilling in the resort.
Boring.
But I mean, I'm sure it's also it was also something that was easier to do during COVID.
Well, it was
right?
COVID,
like,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Like, yeah, like what they call in TV, what they call bottle episodes. Like, I think they talked about it on the Friends reunion, where it's like, look, we needed an episode where they don't leave the apartment,
right?
Because we're trying to keep costs low, or we want to,
right?
So yeah,
makes sense.
It worked out. He's like, yeah, I've got something that can exist in one single location. But there you go. There's Nadia's review of the White Lotus.
I will say, like, I just recently had a client, and she asked me, she goes, "Are you watching White Lotus?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she really loved it. Okay. And her thing was that she just liked that it felt real to her. That it just felt like she was watching real people on vacation, and that she hated the guy, the husband, there's a newlywed couple, that she hated him so much, but then she was like, oh, that means he's doing a good job. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Right. Like, he's evoking. Yeah, exactly. And I will say that character, he does do a good job, because you really just are like, this guy is a piece of shit. And I love Steve Zahn too. He's a great actor.
Yeah, Steve Zahn's great in everything.
Yeah. And everyone did a good job. The acting was really good. So I'll give them that. That was a positive review that somebody I knew liked it. And I can understand it. I just needed a little bit more.
Well, feel free to let us know if you liked it, or why we should or shouldn't watch, or why I should or shouldn't watch.
Right. The next thing that I'm dying to watch. Excuse you, Penny.
Does not care at all what you
God, so rude. We didn't even talk about the fact that we took the dogs camping. They had a miserable time. This bitch.
He doesn't care.
She doesn't care.
But what's the other show you said you wanted to watch?
I really want to watch this Val documentary about Val Kilmer.
Oh, that's right. We should watch that.
I really want to watch that. It looks really good. I've a really big fan of Val Kilmer. I think he's a great actor. And I had no idea that he was dealing with some sort of, I don't know if it's throat cancer or what it is, but he has now lost his ability to speak freely and needs the assistance of like a voice box thing.
Wow.
It's really sad. And you think of somebody who is he's a very vivacious actor. You know what I mean? So animated. Is that not the right word? Vivacious. Is that only for women? Your face when I said that. What would you say? Charismatic? Is that better?
I think he's charismatic. I wouldn't call him vivacious.
Doesn't that mean the same shit?
Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't. It's not like gender specific. Do you know what I mean? Maybe.
I think vivacious as charismatic is the same thing.
Look, it's typically used as a woman for a woman.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like, look, she's really like animated, and like I could call you vivacious.
Right.
It's not typically, which is why I was just kind of like, but yes, it all fits. If you think that he is lively and
he is lively,
animated.
He was, poor guy. But yeah, he was always known to have a camcorder on him at all times throughout his career and his early years. So he's got a lot of really interesting footage throughout his career, whether it's hanging out with Kevin Bacon or, on behind the scenes of a movie he was filming. So he just documented everything and they compiled into this documentary. And he talks about his journey in finding out that he's sick and all the way up to now where he can't really speak. So it looks really moving and powerful, and I'm really interested in watching it.
Well, maybe we'll be able to talk about that next week.
So if you guys want to check that out, I cannot remember now where it was, though.
It's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
okay.
on Amazon Prime.
Got it. Yeah. Mad Morgan. Mad Morgan forever.
I can't wait to see the Willow footage. There better be some Willow footage in that.
I think that's my favorite role he played. So good.
We got to watch Tombstone again.
I don't know if I saw Tombstone.
Or not fall asleep during heat.
I know. There's a lot. Ghosts in the Darkness. Love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then he played Batman.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. But he did it.
He did.
And there's behind the scenes footage.
Well, there you go.
All right, guys. We're going to call that a show. I'm sure there's other things that happened on our camping trip that we forgot to tell you about. However, we are possibly going to do... I'm going to say it so that it forces us to do it.
Sounds good.
Okay. We're going to do a couch quickie on camping. So if you guys have any suggestions on what we can talk about at camping, we already have our list of shit that we want to talk about, but maybe you guys have some funny stories or interesting points or whatever, send them our way. We'll do a couch quickie on camping. And if there's anything we forgot about this camping trip to share, catch it in the next couch quickie episode.
That's right. Thanks a lot for listening. Once again, I am Omar. This is Nadia.
Signing off
on our social media. What are they again? Profiles.
What are we?
What are we?
We are We Everywhere Baby Podcast and at Nadia Moham Official and at OMR VLZ.
That's right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
We Everywhere, baby.